Hi, welcome to Myers ASMR. I'm so glad to see you. I knew I would see you today. Thanks for coming. This is coconut milk tea. I don't even know why it's called tea. It's probably no tea in it whatsoever. I think some of the better ones do actually have black tea as a base. You like my hair? I did it myself. It didn't take too long, maybe 3 hours. Well, do I have a treat today? Yes. Let's get right to it. I love this book. I love the personalities. These guys are lighthearted and fun with it. I just need to make room on the table for this book. All right. Let me see where I left off. Women now proudly say they want us to be a certain quality and they want us to be its opposite. You know, rugged but sensitive. Get a load of this request from an anonymous survey respondent. Men should be more sensitive and not so rough, more gentle. Men should never take sex for granted, should be more romantic, and should always be the aggressive one. Gentle and unassuming, but always aggressive. Got it. Here are a few other examples. Be totally in love with us, but at the same time, don't be a wimpy pushover, wrote a lady in Juneau, Alaska. Women don't want to be dominated and bullied, but neither do they want a man to be a baby. They want him to be a man. Then, when he's a man, they don't like it because that means he's too controlling and they're afraid of him. They all want heroes, but they want warm, tender, loving heroes. Oh, what a fantasy that is. Olga Silverstein, therapist in Vogue magazine. Always be honest unless we don't want you to be, wrote another survey respondent. Tina in Youngstown, Ohio told us not to drool over other women in her presence. Is that clear? But apparently it's perfectly okay for her to sleep with other men. Yes, we like bad boys on the side, she said. Dana in Texas told us, women want equality. We want to be treated fairly, but we also want to be treated like goddesses. That's what I want. Who wouldn't? Dana's sentiment, we would wager, is at the very center of so much male-female misunderstanding. Is this not a setup for trouble? When you get down to the nitty-gritty, it usually means things like this. He has to do half the laundry, but she won't mow the lawn. She can earn more than him, but he should still spend more on her. This is all perfectly straightforward to most women who can't for the life of them figure out why we don't get it. It seems as though the more we tell them, the more confused they become, wrote a woman in Flint, Michigan, incredulously. If you're not dizzy by now, if you can stand one more contradiction, here it is. Invariably, After women rattle off their list of opposing qualities that we should strive to achieve in order to be worthy of them, they will tell us, as did Sarah in Rio Linda, California, just be yourself. Arg! Jane, a woman, in one of our living room chats had an interesting suggestion. I think women should marry gay men and then just have boyfriends. Jane, you're on. Chapter 3, Beyond Mars and Venus. Get over anger and remember nobody wins an argument. Make that okay and make it a practice that both of you say what you mean so you aren't playing constant guessing games. Accept each other as the fascinating, faulty human beings that you are. If you were perfect, you would know better than to criticize her imperfections, but until then, quit it. Did you catch the last chapter? It sure felt good to get that off our chests. We feel better now. Luckily, there were no women around to hear it. They all stopped reading, as per our request, of course. The answer to all of the male bashing that we've endured over the last few decades is not to weigh in with some equally mean-spirited female bashing. Where would that get us? Nowhere. You guys who want to live in a world without women, you can just leave now and go off ice fishing together. The rest of us guys will stay behind, thanks. We're still trying to attract women. We want to live with them. We confess we can't live without them. For us, the ultimate question is, how are a bunch of badly flawed men and women supposed to get along in this imperfect world? Let's start by agreeing on a few basic rules of engagement. 1. Anger goes nowhere and accomplishes nothing. It's emotional wheel spinning, that's all. It digs a deeper rut. When she gets angry, what do you usually do? You get defensive. That's exactly where most men are most of the time. That's the average guy's way of keeping peace. But that's just a setup for a closed loop. You do something, she gets mad. You make amends, you do it again. No one is the wiser and nothing changes. When you get angry, you start to argue with her, and that's generally the most fruitless tack that you can take. Women, due to their generally superior verbal skills, are more likely to win the argument. Repeat this mantra. If I argue, I will lose. Avail yourself of the wisdom contained in a folk tale passed down among African Americans in the South and retold by the novelist Zora Neale Hurston. A character named George Thomas opens the story with this nugget. Don't you know you can't get the best of no woman in the talking game? Trying to understand is a gift to your lover, Lee from Salt Lake City. But let us assume, for a moment, that you can match her in the argument department, that you can thrust and parry and foil and win. Exactly what have you won, Mr. Big Shot? You win the right to live in a shabby apartment and eat your dinners out of a can. Oh, you were absolutely right. And now you're absolutely alone. 2. Deal with the differences. Nothing is more transparently obvious, nor more in need of saying. Men and women are fundamentally different. You didn't make the world. That's just the way it is. Listen to Mary, who scribbled the following advice at the end of her Magellan Poll survey. It's a known fact, men and women think differently. The sooner you come to grips with this, the better your relationship is. Say what you want and mean it up front and quit with the guessing games and mind reading. It's all too easy to get trapped while only halfway to this realization, to get stuck in the mental prison of gender stereotypes. We know because we met women who seemed unable to break free of their rigid attitudes. and could not use the word men without putting an all in front of it. They took a perverse comfort in the walls that separate the sexes. These women were black holes of negative energy, and big surprise, we couldn't help but notice that they were usually single or bitterly divorced. They've never gotten beyond the Mars and Venus mindset, the notion that men or women are so different that it's as though we're from different planets. In saying this, we're not criticizing the men are from Mars, women are from Venus books of John Gray, PhD. He has dedicated his life to bringing couples together. We're talking about the rigid mindset that frames every person and every behavior as male or female, good or bad. If it's your gender, it's good. If it's their gender, it's bad. By contrast, we also met women who have learned to accept and even celebrate the guyness of guys. Despite the occasional self-centered yearning for a new, sappy, neutered male, most women can deal with the great divide. We fully accept that men and women are different, said Lisa, a 24-year-old student in Arizona. We acknowledge the differences and we try to work with that. We don't need Mr. Sensitive, ponytail head man, but we do need men who are true to themselves and respectful. The short answer: what do women really want? Companionship, respect, the ability to compromise. I want a husband who treats me like his girlfriend, not his wife. I want to get the most out of life that I can. If I have someone to share it with, it's all that much better. I would like men to like women more, not love women, like women. A decent partner, someone you really can walk through life with. Partner is a good word. Are you ready to accept the maddening, complicated womanliness of women? If so, then you've already embraced the third rule of engagement. 3, don't expect so much. We tip our hats to Tammy in Colorado, who makes this brilliant point. Men want women to be strong but feminine, capable but sexy, and a virgin but a hooker. Women want men to be macho but sensitive, quietly strong but communicative, and reliable but boyish. Neither sex has figured out that nobody's perfect. You have to accept certain vices because you appreciate certain vices. If you expect perfection from her and she expects perfection from you, what happens? Neither of you ever enjoys those sunny moments when you feel really and truly appreciated by your mate. In this life, there is nothing sweeter than those moments. Alas, we were raised to believe in fairy tales, which is why we're disappointed to find reality. Wrote a New Woman magazine survey respondent, man, oh man, can you imagine being compared to Sir Lancelot on a daily basis? The bottom line, said Shirley in Atlanta, is this: the perfect man can only coexist with the perfect woman. To the extent that we're shy of that ideal, we need to bring our expectations down from the blue. As one woman told us, just like it's unfair for us to expect you to be all things, the same goes for you. And the fourth basic rule of engagement is learn to accept what you cannot change. One of the oldest and wisest lessons that people learn from long-term marriages is that you can't really change your partner. That's like trying to stop the wind. Life is easier when you give up trying. So give up, give in, you lose. Love will always win. Start surrendering. Oh, stop resisting. Fran, a 43-year-old mother in Pennsylvania, put it this way: stop believing in your own head that you can make anybody do anything. You can't. If my husband doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. And it really irks me if he says, yes, dear, and he doesn't mean that. He's just humoring me. I don't want to be humored. If you mean no, tell me no, and tell me now. But here's another bit of wisdom that we heard. Both men and women change over time. Some quite a lot. Although you can't force someone to change, there's a deep, slow, natural transformation that occurs with maturity and age. In fact, if you want to ask the question, what do women want? You're led to another question. What age are we talking about? What women want changes with time. And I second that. What I want at 50 is a bit different from what I wanted at 25. Luckily for you guys, I don't put so much strong and heavy expectations on men like I used to. Cindy, a 50-year-old painter from New York City, said it best. Women and men want different things at different times in their lives. It's not like you can say women want this or that. In high school, I wanted to be adored. When the nesting urge hit and nature said, go have kids, I wanted someone dependable. When I had kids, I wanted to find myself again. And I have respect for my own self-worth. When I started getting older, I wanted a companion, and eventually you come all the way back around again because finally you want someone to adore you, just like in high school, because who else is going to stay with you when you're old? Just do it. Well, aren't you nice? Men need women. And more particularly, you need her. Show her that you do. Give her compliments more often. Don't stop at looks. Praise something that she's done. Guys tend to be bad at paying compliments and way too good at handing out criticism. Think about the last time you sincerely complimented another guy. What was his reaction? Did you get a weird look? A look that said, hey, what's your angle? If your gal gives you the same reaction, you're already in trouble. Women tend to need many compliments for each criticism, writes Warren Farrell, PhD, a men's movement guru, San Diego area psychologist and author of several books on men's issues. In his latest book, Women Can't Hear What Men Don't Say, he even suggests a ratio of 4 to 1. You'd better get busy. Compliments make her feel appreciated and loved. Criticism doesn't change anything, it just makes her feel defensive, which leads to fights, lifelong grudges, and sexual withdrawal. Take your pick. Many women feel that the great divide narrows with age. By the time the hormones are gone, the men become a little gentler and the women become a little meaner, a little tougher, a little stronger, said Stephanie, a 48-year-old lawyer and mother in Philadelphia. And number 5 of the agreed upon rules of engagement is accept that we need each other. Here's an attitude that usually gets ignored in the overheated media fan battle of the sexes. Women need men and men need women, said Sherry in Denver. We need each other precisely because of our differences, not in spite of them. The women whom we love and admire are the women who can revel in the differences. Who can appreciate us and show that appreciation and know the depth of the need, theirs and ours. Carry this message from Karen in Florida as you continue on your journey through this book. Know that as much as we may not always understand you, that's exactly why we love you. We love the very fact that you're so different from us and it draws us in every way. Also know that we watch you too when you walk by and we smile. Karen, you are beautiful. That's an attitude that will lift men and women across the great divide. And with that, I'm going to stop here with today's story time. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Well, if you like what I'm doing here, like and subscribe, donate to my Cash App. Catch me in the next video, and may you find lasting happiness. Bye.